Probably. And another thing, too, is for those of you who, and I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible, in the pits of the COMEX, there are what they call the commercial traders in both silver and gold, and in this case, they're the same players to some extent. J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, etc. And in gold, they have a short position net, because they have longs and shorts at the same time, net of 306,000 contracts. And that's the highest it's ever been. A normal contract for the short position, for the commercials as they're called, is 95,000. So it's just about triple. And they're really hung out to dry. And
explain what that means in layman's terms on the other side as we break down the rigged market with Bob Chapman. All right, Bob, you were getting into market manipulation and going over how they're triple short what they normally would be for people that aren't involved in the stock market or things they don't understand. Then coming back, I want to get into the good news. The Federal Reserve is in a lot of trouble. National polls show that just 21% favor Ben Bernanke being reappointed as the Fed chairman. So we're going to be talking about that and playing some clips of his grilling yesterday. But Bob Chapman, continue.
Well, when you short something like gold bullion or silver bullion or gold stocks and silver stocks, you bet they're going to go down. And what you have to do eventually is you have to buy back the security that you sold even though you didn't own it. And in this case, it's gold bullion that we're talking about, and there's a silver bullion market, and I cover that all the time in the International Forecaster. But this is a record short. Now, who's short? The United States government short. They're the ones who are in there shorting the gold and silver market, and they're shorting the shares as well. And at least with the shares, we get a good idea of the breakdown of who's doing what. On the bullion exchange and the COMEX, you can't tell because they won't tell you. They just give you a total whole figure of what they call commercials. But in the shares, you can tell because they have to state their positions. So we know that J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Bank of New York, Citigroup, Barclays, and on and on. These are the shorts in there. And we know how much they're short, just like we do in the bullion market. And so there's a concentrated effort for the last couple of months to drive down all of those prices. And also they've been in the commodity market as well, trying to hold those prices down. But that's a little bit more difficult to do because they're wider markets. And so that's what our government is doing in the market right now. And at the same time, they're trying to make the dollar go up, as I explained, and how they do that. And they also are trying to keep the stock market from falling.
So they're coming in with mountains. They're coming in with mountains of fiat derivatives, made up money, debt, and they're manipulating the market, trying to drive gold down. Please continue.
And they're not, as Alex said, and as Mr. Roberts said, at best they can keep it going for a day or two, and that's it. The dollar's going to go back down, the market's going to go back down, commodities are going to go back up, and gold and silver is going to go back up. So what do? You take advantage of the fact that the gold shares are down 10%, the coins are probably off 3 or 4 or 5%, and you go in and you buy if you can. You add to your collection if you can. And you take advantage of an abnormal dip. It's my projection that gold will test $1,550 to $1,650 by the 1st of April. And I think that we'll get that high. I think that's where this run is going. And I think that we would have had a normal mini correction anyway. I mean, no markets go. We've had 21 of the 23 up days in gold. Well, you got to have a correction. People take profits. Not everybody is investors. Some of them are traders. So I expected somewhere between 25 and 150 points, and that would take gold back to somewhere in the vicinity of 1,100. Well, they've already done that for us. So what we have done is corrected the technical situation of being overbought. We'll get a little ground floor somewhere in here and to go right back up again.
Let me ask you this, Bob Chapman. Again, your predictions have always been devastatingly accurate here on air, so people are really taking notes. 2 weeks ago, they tried to dump, as you know, billions and billions, tens of billions of dollars of gold in the market, thinking that would drive it down. But instead, the Indians, the Chinese, and others grabbed it all up. Why was that manipulation to drive it down not successful, but this one has been?
I think that what they've done is they've gone and talked to these entities, such as India. Why did you go out and take 200 tons of gold down? And Sri Lanka and Mauritania, whose orders were relatively inconsequential. But I think they really leaned on the Chinese, because the Chinese came out and said, well, we hope that this isn't a gold bubble here. Well, you got to be kidding me. The Chinese aren't that stupid. So that means that they were asked to say that to keep the price of gold from running further. And I'm sure the story that was given by Geithner to the Chinese was, look, if it backs off, you can buy it cheaper. We just don't. We want it down for right now. And believe me, this sort of thing goes on. And so the Chinese come out and said something, and that didn't help the market. It backed off. What are the Chinese doing today? They're in there buying.
All right, I want to shift gears out of this area and get into what's happening with the Federal Reserve and unemployment numbers. We'll be right back.